many of you want us to do this again? Okay, so we did it 2 years in a row in New York, and this is our first year in San Francisco. Can I hear if anybody wants us to do it in San Francisco again? Okay. Well, we're going to hear from New York next week, you know. That was New York. It might be a small contingent, but they're noisy. First off, I want to thank you all for coming out. I know many of you saw a huge list of incredible drink sponsors, and that tipped you over the edge to come to this. You know, I overheard someone say, it's like Greenbuild, but with drinks. So thank you so much. I think it was very smart of our staff to put us at the beginning of Greenbuild, because the Greenbuild hangover would have lost us a lot of you. So I really do want to thank Sarah and little Sarah, Minnie Brady, for putting this together. Can you stand up and just... We're going to do this again, but I really want to thank Sarah for... There were 1.5 people really working hard on this. So, in all seriousness, we've been very fortunate to have some incredible speakers, and we're going to close with another incredible speaker that has talked about the power of place and what it means to transform and change environments. And I want to show a quick video. This is the first time it's ever been seen, including to us, because it arrived in our Dropbox about 45 minutes ago. It talks about place. So I want you just to have a quick look, and I'll be right back. So, how'd that go? So this is like the last cut before the final cut. So if you have any comments, we'll be welcome to take them on, especially after a few more drinks. Tell Jacob. We really can't do any more work without the support of people like you, whether it's contributing your time or financially contributing towards our organization. This video will be our end-of-year giving campaign, and talking about what do you see. My incredible co-founder, Kate Storr, gave a talk at Google's conference about what do you see, and really kind of made people think about the power of architecture and design, and that power only happens when we have that support. So I certainly would like you to watch this again. This is Kate's way of getting me to shut up. So there's now a new timer on me. Every 60 seconds, a new Architecture for Humanity video will play. Unless you either donate or I shut up. So I'm just going to change this because we need to thank a few people. We do. And I'm going to invite Kate on to do that. Is this it? Yeah. Wow. I hate PowerPoint. Keynote, people. Keynote. Like, look, seriously. Okay. Okay, I'm going to invite Kate on to thank our sponsors.
Indeed. All right. I'm actually thanking a very I've thanked the sponsors a lot throughout the day, and I want to thank them again. I want to thank Autodesk. I want to thank Cerna Foundation. I want to thank all of our beautiful beverage and food sponsors for making it possible, and our product sponsors who are here today, Delta and Tri-Commercial. But I also have to thank another set of sponsors, and I don't know if we have the slides for these. Okay. Maybe someone can help us get that going. Perfect.
You should announce this too about
what
we're doing, because no one knows what we're doing.
Well, it turns out that Architecture for Humanity was very closely going to be homeless for humanity. It happens. We were getting booted out of our current space at 848 Folsom, and so we actually needed to find a new home this year. And I would like to thank the people who have given Architecture for Humanity a home and take a moment. Our new office is opening in a month. I encourage you to come and visit. Wherever you are in the world, we have an open mic on Wednesday at noon. Right? You put that in your calendar, right? Wednesday at noon every week. And we'll be holding it at our new space, which is on Minna Street and 8th. And this would not be possible without the support of Curry Architecture and Little Fish LLC, who helped us finance this deal. It was an amazing gift on their part. We are so happy to have a home and have our own building. Thank you so much. But then you gotta, do a little rehab on the space. And being Architecture for Humanity, we went to the best. We had over $400,000 of professional and product support to reimagine our own building here in San Francisco, and I just want to thank those people. Gensler, Nicholas Booth Architects, Arab, who did all of our MEP, our structural, and our lighting. Environmental Building Strategy, who did our LEED certification. I believe we're going to be LEED Silver in our new space. Urban Fabric. It doesn't cost more, people. You just get it for free. No, I'm kidding. Thank you so much, Environmental Building Systems. We really appreciate it. I'd like to thank Joseph Elbow and Richter's Architects, who also helped do some procurement. Panko, IDEX Global Services. I'm not done. On the lighting front, we had H.E. Williams, Fine Light, and Lunera. On fixtures, furniture, we had Dull Tile and Interface Floor come into our new space. Furniture, Steelcase, One Workplace, Technion, Sidemark, and Coalesce. Dyson, Whirlpool, Big Ass Fans. Yeah, I had to say it. Big Ass Fans.
It's ass. It's not ass. It's ass.
Right, okay. Dirt, Delta, and Amana all came in to help kit out our new beautiful space. I mean, I hope you all visit. You're welcome anytime. And I want to thank all of those people who really put their time and their money where their mouth is and came and helped Architecture for Humanity have a home. Thank you so much.
Okay, without further ado, and just to note, this, in our 14-year history, this is the first time we've had our own building. It's like a big moment for us. So we've kind of been renters for many, many years, and it's kind of awesome that we get to say we have a house. So we certainly invite you to come and hang out in our house. We may have our own coffee shop. We're not sure yet. This is my personal favorite part of the building. I actually, in conversation with another group of architects, we wrote down the number of architects and designers in our firms. I kind of think of us as a firm. And then we figured out how long they spend going to the really good coffee shop and coming back, and then figuring out the lost to work hours. It turns out it's actually cheaper to have an on-site barista. And if you're going to do that, so originally we were going to have an on-site barista. If you're going to do that, why not have your own coffee shop? So we may actually have our own Architecture for Humanity coffee and chocolate shop. Because if you're going to do coffee, you might as well do chocolate. So if you're ever on 8th and Minna and you need to get a sugar rush, you'll be donating to us too. Finally, and thank you so much for waiting. So Omar Volpanari. My Italian's getting better. I have your title because it's pretty amazing. I'm sure in Italian it sounds smooth, but he's the director of expanded media, which includes visual communication, interaction, online experience, video and sound, and the head of visual communication at Fabrica, which is the research lab and school at Benetton. He has worked diligently on transforming kind of the graphic design and information design world to focus its attention on social justice issues. He has worked as creative director on projects for the WHO, UNICEF, UNESCO, the World Bank, Lawyers Committee for Human Rights, Witness, Amnesty International, Reporters Without Borders, Teachers Without Borders, and many, many more. So if you ever saw kind of an advocacy campaign for a major nonprofit and your head just turned, he probably was the guy who made you turn your head. He's served on the board of ICOGRADA. He's taught all over the world and lectured in more than 30. I'm happy to say he's a good friend and a mentor and somebody I've looked up for many years. Without further ado, Omar.
Thank you, Cameron. I've never been sold so well, so I have big expectations to keep up to now. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Is this one working? Yes, it is. Okay.
I just want to remind you all, especially all you open micers, we will be announcing the winner of the Design Open Mic very shortly. So stay tuned. Very important.
Let's see. Thank you. As I mentioned, it's a pleasure being here, and being a communication designer amongst all these architects and designers, service designers, product designers, I feel like being at the house of a large family of cousins, and that's also why it's stimulating to be here. I have 20 minutes to go through a series of projects that have been for global dissemination, but also on a very local scale. Speaking about community as the topic of this event, we're going to be seeing projects regarding social communication coming from Fabrica. I've been head of visual communication at Fabrica for the last 14 years. Some of these projects go way back, some are more recent. I have to spend a few words on the place, on the experience itself. Fabrica is Benetton's communication research center. It is a full grant-based experience. It is the home of 30 under 25-year-olds selected creatives dedicating to visual communication, photography, video and film, interaction design, product design, sound design, and editorial design. Fabrica is also the home of Colors Magazine in its 18th year now. Colors Magazine started with famous Tibor Kalman and was already 18 years ago the magazine about the rest of the world. Fabrica is located in Treviso, which is let's say the town of Benetton, only 20 minutes away from Venice. It's located in a 17th century Palladian-style villa, totally restored and expanded by Japanese architect Tadao Ando, as we can see here. It's basically in the 10 kilometers away from the center of Treviso in the middle of Prosecco vineyards. And as I mentioned, we have these 30 under 25-year-olds selected through a dual, let's say, selection process. They work in these 7 departments, but of course the work is also very interdisciplinary. The work they do day by day, they work on assignments that have been assigned by department heads and also self-assigned, self-initiated. Most of these projects are related to socially concerned issues, culturally concerned issues. And along with this day-by-day activity of learning by doing, Fabrica is a hybrid of education, practice, and research, actually, a very unique hybrid in this case. This is our library. In parallel with learning by doing on these projects, we have a fantastic workshop and lecture program. And in these, in the last, Fabrica was founded in 1994 by Luciano Benetton and the famous photographer Oliviero Toscani. In these, 18 years, okay. In these 18 years, we've had, as workshop leaders and lecturers, the world's, I would say, most the established gurus, going from John Thackeray to Philip Stark, Stefan Sagemeister, Michael Nyman, to the emerging international mavericks dealing today with digital arts and coding arts and game design, app design, and so on, as Zachary Lieberman, which is founder of Open Frameworks, Daito Manabe, creating art through neural impulses, Kevin Slavin, fantastic game designer now working, now in collaboration with Zynga, and Aaron Siegel, who is our recently acquired head of interaction and online experience, that already working with Carlo Ratti at MIT, but also Facebook and NASA. And also other great workshop leaders you can see here. So Cameron Sinclair, not only a fantastic person and architect, but also a great workshop leader. And Cameron gave a workshop related to a project for a sports center in Zambia with social outreach programs. And we worked with him for a full week, designing 360 degrees from the architecture, the sustainability of the architecture, and the center, conceiving also the identity of the local football team, and so on. These are just a few more pictures from these workshops that have seen Bruce Sterling, father of cyberpunk literature, but also one of today's most prominent design futurologists, Mathieu Leneur, always embedding nature into his design products. Sophie Thomas, one of the most important sustainability-oriented graphic designers, but also, as I mentioned before, technologists like Daito Manabe, Kevin Slavin, Zachary Lieberman, and so on. Jumping into the projects, I'd like to start from something very recent. This is a recent project we did for the United Nations World Health Organization. We're dedicating to World No Tobacco Day. The topic this year was a very delicate one. It was called, the poster was entitled Intimidation, but the topic was stopping the tobacco industry interference towards the UN anti-tobacco policies. UNWHO, Climate Change Hurts, 2009. This is a poster that was designed, what you're seeing are mostly posters, but of course these are graphic messages that become environmental design elements, they become online communications, they become, of course, they can be applied, ad campaigns, and so on. But these are mostly posters. A few words on posters. This is something very important. Posters today seem to be something of the past, but for the 80% of the rest of the world where these communications are mostly intended for, the poster, that piece of paper on the wall of the post office, the school, the hospital, the sports center is still the most feasible and sustainable means of communication. That poster can remain on that wall even for months and months and months, be seen over and over again, and therefore have a very strong impact. These posters are uploaded online, and they can be downloaded by anyone by any organization that wants them, translated into that language. They're designed to be translated in all languages, including Arab, Chinese, and Russian. This poster was for the WHO during the COP Global Warming Summit in Copenhagen, and it was designed by a 22-year-old Canadian student that was in Fabrica in his very first week in Fabrica. So definitely a very important opportunity. Not only an opportunity in terms of creative exercise and visibility, but also these are all incredible opportunities in terms of learning about the rest of the world. These campaigns, these communication projects, are the awareness-raising and behavior change elements of broader communication projects. These campaigns usually come out when WHO needs to launch a global report on any of these topics. And we have to study these reports before even starting to think about creativity. So these assignments are really important learning opportunities also for our residents, as we call them. This is another campaign for the International World No Tobacco Day of a few years ago, and this is one of my favorites because it's about images, and it's about the importance of images. So this campaign intends to communicate mostly to policymakers, but also to the general public, the importance of using pictorial labels on tobacco products. It's very important for governments to implement these images because, of course, they're extremely more effective as compared to the simple verbal messages that we find still in most countries. And it's been statistically proven that the countries that apply these pictorial labels have an average drop of 20% in terms of tobacco consumption. So this project really tells me how important images are. These images are real. They are not Photoshop. Of course, our images are. We've enhanced the importance of these images through Photoshop. But the images that you see normally on cigarette packs are images of reality. And what we did was to simply enhance the power of these images and their meaning. Okay, so this was a 3-poster campaign on that topic. The next one, Keep Kids Safe. This is for WHO and UNICEF together, and this is totally dedicating to child deaths around the world. 260 children die from burns every day. 130 die from falls. Each poster is on. We're seeing 5 posters dedicating this topic, and each poster dedicates to one of the major impact factors. So children around the world mostly die because of burning, falling, poisoning, drowning, and mostly road accidents. I'm going to go back to this one for one simple reason. Just to talk about the learning experience behind these opportunities. When we speak about, when the UN talks about children dying because of drowning, we're not talking about children dying in their backyard pools or in their bathtubs, but we're talking about those children that die in the water wells where their mothers walk 4 hours a day to get the daily water, or in those in those waterways where their mothers still wash by hand the daily clothing, and so on. So again, it's about communicating to the rest of the world. Sorry, backwards. Here we go. Road safety is no accident. Road accidents are major killers, especially towards young people. This is a campaign dedicating to young road users. And again, each poster dedicates to a different impact factor. It's very important, of course, to always wear helmets. Wearing seatbelts is also very important. Just the behind-the-scenes shot of that one. Speeding, keeping the right speed is important. And of course, not drinking and assuming drugs. This campaign was designed by an Australian student of mine, and it's still being used today because of how effective it is. Most of these campaigns have fortunately won important prizes. This recently won a Good Design Award, while the Keep Kids Safe campaign won a Graphis Platinum G, which is an award not assigned every year, but only in case of very high merit. And of course, visibility. This is another very important impact factor in terms of road accidents and young road users. This is how our posters are very often disseminated, very simply through events organized during, mostly during the international days related to these projects. This is a shot from a road safety conference in Kenya. Violence prevention, this is from 2002, again for United Nations World Health Organization. This is where our relationship started and our reputation was, let's say, seeded with the WHO. Very often, the project starts from a branding study. In this case, we needed to launch the World Report on Violence Prevention, and this was the logo that was chosen to represent that project, a hand stopping a fist. And in this case, we have an 8-poster campaign, each poster talking about a different form of violence, the most impacting forms of violence around the world. This is a general poster that simply tells us that every year 1.6 million people die from violence around the world. What are the major forms of violence? Youth violence, violence against women, violence against the elderly, of course, violence against ourselves, suicide, group-related violence. Here we're speaking about gang violence, we're speaking about civil wars, and so on. Violence against children. And here we are in the central square of Riga. So here you can see how the posters also are translated into all languages possible. Let me just, before getting to the more local community-based project, I'd like to just, this is something I always stop at to somehow give a bit more context on what we've just seen and how we strategically approach these projects. The primary functions of social communication design are fighting indifference by informing and raising public awareness on issues of social interest. 2, to induce a positive action or change of an inappropriate individual behavior damaging broad society. So social communication must be direct, must be emotionally impacting, it must indicate a positive action or behavior, and of course it must be inclusive, especially if it's on a global scale. Let's go into these factors. Direct, what does being direct mean? It means that the message components, images and text, must be intensely focused on the central theme factors. Misleading metaphors and images without direct reference to the factors should be avoided. That's why most of the images you've seen are very, very to the point. We're talking about violence, we see bodies. We're we're talking about violence, we see red as in blood, as in violence, and so on. They must be emotionally impacting. The components of the message should catalyze strong emotional reactions, reactions of disturbance mostly, which can be through fear, through surprise, through laughter. Strong emotional reactions that lead to reflection and message memory retention. Of course, it's important that we remember and we think about what we've just seen. Another important factor is that they must indicate a positive behavior. The message must contain an explanation of the problem and suggest a positive behavior and action. That's why the images are always followed, accompanied by even a short text that, however, explains the issue and also gives a direction towards a positive reaction. Giving this information is very critical. It's critical in order to avoid the removal effect for messages based on the fear factor. Many of the images you've seen are shocking. That's why they must contain that extra information. Otherwise, a lot of people just remove the effect because of that shock. The messages must be inclusive. They must be understandable and attractive to everyone, opinion leaders, legislators, and of course the general public. If the message is distributed globally, it must be also effective and translatable in all cultures. Okay. Let's see some very, very community-related projects quickly. I think my 20 minutes are almost over. Not, okay. Treviso has an important alcohol problem. Girls start drinking at a very early age, 12, 13. So the local hospital consortium asked us to create a project dealing with this problem. This is what you're seeing here is a spritz, which is the local drink that has become famous around the world. It's very popular because it's very good and very cheap. And girls start drinking that very early in the afternoon, and many of them can assume 2 or 3 of them. Why is this topic important? For the simple reason that only recently it has been discovered that alcohol assumed while pregnant and while breastfeeding is much more dangerous than heroin, marijuana, and cocaine, because every single drop goes directly into the fetus. So this campaign was strongly articulated into posters, banners in public environments, but also information pamphlets in all the night bars and night venues, but also through guerrilla concepts that were disseminated in the women's bathrooms of these night stops. I'm going to jump this one. This is for the local Volunteer Blood Donation Association. It's called the most painful part is pulling off the bandage. And this was Gianluca, the typical. This was dedicated. This was focusing on young blood volunteers, and Gianluca was seen as the typical forward-looking, bright Trevisian. And that was him the first year, while the year after, he brought his friends with him, okay? And there's Gianluca again, and he's with his friends, and they're all, in the pain of just pulling off the bandage, not of getting, okay. And another guerrilla concept for the city. I'm getting close to the end. This is just symbolical of many projects we're starting today. So after many years of working on global campaigns, helping millions of people around the world, but people that we never saw in the face, now we're working on a series of community-based projects, co-design projects where we work directly with the people that we can help and actually see the effect. So this is a project called the Factory Memory, and here we worked with a group of 9 terminal AIDS patients, people that could not get out of their wheelchairs, could not get out of their beds, suffer from dementia. 1 was even lost during the way. 3 of our residents worked with 9 of them, creating a series of, creating a poster with each one of them, where the poster was based on an object of dear memory, an object that brought them back, positive memories in these patients. So we had conversations with them. We even organized hands-on workshops with them. They also drew, they wrote, they created things. And in a collaborative process, each poster was designed by 8 hands, by the 3 Fabrica residents that worked on the project and the patient, him herself. These are just a few examples of the results. And this was just the first step of the project. The first step was in bringing a direct psychological benefit to these people that are actually abandoned. These people are, they're just forgotten, actually. The community of Treviso is literally afraid of crossing the gate of this institution. Some of the people that work in the institution park literally hundreds of meters away because they're afraid of being seen as people who work there. This is the stigma of these AIDS patients. So first of all, a direct benefit in working with them, in being interested in their lives. This patient was a former journalist. He was one of those that could not get out of his bed. This girl brought to us a scarf that was given to her by her mother. Oh, sorry, just to speak about some of the objects. Okay, so this man gave us his pen. This man gave us a drawing of his dog, and this guy gave us his pipe. And he was also a great, a strong whiskey drinker. He actually worked in Las Vegas, and gave us actually some very, very interesting stories to work around. This is the second part of the project. So the first part was to bring direct benefit. The second part was to show this work to the community of Treviso, to show the community that institution is made of people that are still vital. They're still creative. But first of all, they can be approached. They can approached. They can interact. So in this exhibition, we brought this extra factor to the project, which was probably the most important because it also brought even an important extra financial support, because that's also what they were missing. This woman here, almost 90 years old, she is the president. Grazie, Graziella. She's the president of this association, of this institution, and she thanked me directly, saying, "Omar, you can't imagine how important this project is because we are really the last of the last. So you've given us a lot." And yes, here we are. This is the president of the institution. This is the director, the medical director of the institution, and so on. This is another project. Excuse me. Okay. This is another project. This is the very last one, so thank you for bearing with me. Here we worked for the National Work Environment Safety Institution, INAIL. This is a public institution, governmental institution. And we were asked to work on the problem that still today, too many workers die daily on the job. So not a conventional communication project through conventional media, but only through guerrilla concepts for the work environment itself. So in this case, we thought, what happens when you get an injury, when you get a hand injury? Because the hands are the most injured parts of the body. You'll probably start running, bleeding also, towards the bathroom, and you'll start leaving bloody handprints all over the place. So we applied these guerrilla interventions to the environments of the workplace that are most impacted. So on the bathroom doors where you would run to rinse your hands, your bleeding hands, you would find these prints, and you would also find this information burst here. You can't see it, but it says it's important to wear protective gloves. Going into the bathroom, right in front of the, right on top of the faucet where you would rinse your hands or rinse your bloody head, okay, in this case, you would also see a message saying it's important to wear your safety helmet. Okay. This is a stickering concept that would be disseminated. It would be, of course, seeded, but it could also become a stickering kit that could be disseminated through local daily papers to apply on those, let's say, work environment pictograms that are usually naked. You know, they're supposed to be safety. These are supposed to be safety messages, but the workers are always, they're never wearing what they should be wearing. Okay, so here we go. We thought of all the possible, let's say, environments also leading to the work environment. So we also thought of transportation. Workers will take buses, they'll take subways, and so on. So these are, we call these responsibility chains, and this is a responsibility chain that dedicates to the fact that if when you're responsible towards your safety, you're also responsible towards the safety of your coworkers. In this case, we created a safety chain where you can see hanging on the worker the wife, and children. Because if you're responsible, reminding that if you're responsible for your safety, you're also responsible for the, for the safety and support of your family. And this was very important. This seemed to be very important for many immigrant workers that were, of course, sending their money back home. We also decided to bombard all common areas, including coffee machines and also bathrooms. So, you might think that you would avoid any message in the bathroom, but we also created awareness-raising graphic novels, comic strips to print on toilet papers. This is an important issue because normally accidents on the job happen when the attention threshold falls. When the workers want to go home at the end of the day, when it's lunchtime, or when they have to rush off to the bathroom. That's when the accidents usually happen. So it was important to disseminate these messages all around the work environment. Here we go. Okay. And to close, Italian workers don't like wearing helmets because it ruins their hair, of course. So we thought it could be important also to make helmets cooler, and this is of course you can't do this because they have to be the usual boring yellow, but at least thinking about it was fun. And I finished. Thank you. I was way over time. Thank you very much. If anyone is interested, I have some copies of a recent journal of an exhibition that's up now in Treviso. Where you can find some of the work you've just seen. I'll leave these here for anyone who wants them.
Do you want to take a question?
Thank you so much.
Do you want to take a question?
If we have time.
Do we have time for one question at least?
Sure.
Does anybody want to ask a quick question? I don't want to kind of leave, he's come all the way from Italy. I don't want to leave anyone not asking. The other thing is, like a good Italian, he will be hanging out at the bar later with me, so you can get a one-on-one question. Am I introducing you and then you're... Okay. Okay, thank you so much. So one more round of applause for Omar. So I always think it's important because, the work we've done over the last 15 years has been about how do we build buildings that affect and change people's lives. But unless you know the problem, you can't solve it. And I think the role of the graphic designer and information artists is to show us what are the problems and what are the things that are most important. So, you know, the Fabrica team, and I can tell you, if you're lucky enough to get to work in Fabrica for even a week, your mind completely changes about the way you look at graphic design. So if you're a graphic designer, I would find a way to get in Fabrica by hook or by crook. And they have, when I was there, you had graphic designers from 40 countries. You've had about 40 countries? Pretty amazing group of people. So the other thing you guys have been waiting for is we've had the design open mic. And for those who don't know, for the last 6 hours, maybe maybe the last 8 hours. It feels like 8 hours. We've had architects and designers come and present. They had 6 minutes to present their idea, one after another, non-stop. And we had everything from composting toilets in Haiti to awesome projects here in the United States to schools in Africa. Really amazing work. I really love the living classroom. I'm not going to say my favorites, but some super awesome. But I'm going to introduce Peter Exley. Peter Exley, he's like the Pechakucha god of America. If you want to go to the best one of these events in the U.S., you have to go to Chicago. And you're in Chicago, right? That's if you want to go to Chicago and just have this experience on steroids, that's the place to go see and do it. And I want to introduce him because he's going to announce the winners of the Design Open Mic.
So, Pachakachak God, crikey. So there's some expectation here, right? The crowd goes wild. I want to say thank you to Architecture for Humanity for having me here. There's obviously another Peter Exley that I don't know about, but how about a huge hand, maybe even the wave for Architecture for Humanity? So I've been here for 20 hours looking at these 6-minute presentations, all fantastic. About a month or two ago, I'm the incoming president of AIA Chicago, and everybody else has done it. That's why I'm the incoming president. So there was an emerging professional came up to me and very sort of belligerently said, "You know, architects just aren't cool." And I'm like, oh. You know, here's a young emerging professional saying to me that we're not cool, and I'm really despondent about this because I'm thinking, well, I'm young, and I thought I was cool, but so now having been here today at Design Open Mic, I've got some proof to disprove this thesis of this young man, because I've looked at nothing but coolness today, at people doing amazing, relevant work, defining strategies and frameworks and positions that are really impacting all of our communities locally, regionally, nationally, internationally. And that is fucking cool. And they're not doing it for the 1%. They're not even doing it for the 99%. They're doing it for everybody. Really, really cool. We have been to Chicago, and we've been rhymed through parks. Thank you, Catherine Darnstadt. We have been providing amazing, relevant opportunities for students that are transitioning from the academy to the profession. Thank you, Marilyn Modinger in Boston. We've been empowering communities at risk and impacting their microclimates. That was Rachel, right? The smokers. Awesome. Really nice. Health centers being inserted in communities that desperately need them. You know, April in Rwanda there. And just to wrap it all up, we've been making it with our maker bots, right? Bilal, How's your foot? Was he gone? Who was there? Wasn't that a nice one? So, for today, at least for the last 6 hours, this was the invisible hand of design. You heard that right? For today, at least, it was really visible. So, amazing job. I would like to give out 40 prizes. Architecture for Humanity cheaped out, you know. So I did screw an extra one out of them. So we've got 5 prizes, and then Autodesk, thank you Autodesk, I've snuck in a couple of extra ones. So I am so proud to be an architect today. We are cool. So without further ado, here I have the envelopes. Runner-up. Rafaela Felci from San Francisco. Out of Sight, the Youth Arts Center. This is a really incredible project. So, for young people, you know, design is often an exception, but Rafaela and her program, it's putting design as an expectation in the hands of high school students. So we were very, very impressed with this project. Is that team here? I think this is where they make a rush up to the stage. It's a school night, isn't it? All right. Well, you were here. So on to the next one. Sarah Burnett from St. Louis, Growing Green to Grow Minds. Come on. So this is making the transition from the academy to the profession, and we cried in this one, right?
Oh man, my voice was shaking.
So congratulations. The third place, Stacy Smedley with Sprout in Seattle, and I know she snuck out already, right? She went where? There's something else going on in town. But immersing architecture and curriculum as one entity, really, really important to be, generating educative design that educates, and education that is revolving around design. So, all right. One of the things that we saw a lot today, and particularly in the superbly communicated projects, was a lot of mapping. And one project that I think blew everybody away was Rachel Starobinski's from Architecture for Humanity in New York, Under the BQE. My daughter sort of lives under the BQE, and I can't wait for this project to be implemented, so I know where to cross the street. Rachel's not here. Where has she gone?
She went back to New York.
She's gone to do the work already.
Yeah. Do you know she has a Mac or a
She has a PC? Oh, she's disqualified. Congratulations. So, the drum roll. So next time you're in Chicago, come to Pachacacha, Chicago. The reason it is so fantastic is there's an awful lot of beer, and if I finish up here more quickly, there's an awful lot of beer out there. The winner is, this was the ultimate project. It was beautifully, beautifully documented, very, very complete. It was a fantastic community container for so many reasons. We'd like to acknowledge the Brixton Remakery and Alistair Dixon's project. So we're keeping it here with the Brits tonight. I think we should hear Alistair's accent, and let's decide who has the better accent, me or him. Accent wars. Alistair, say something, and thank you.
Thank you very much. You introduced it as my project. It's not my project. It's Hannah Lewis's project. She's also here, one of our community partners. She's waving at the back. Come on up, Hannah. It's Hannah's tenacity over the last 3 years and her patience with our Architecture for Humanity team that's made the whole project possible. And it's project architects Taos Larson, Isabel Hankart, Simon Rakowski, Kirsten Bevin, the team of engineers from Ramble. There's hundreds of people who've been involved. And yeah, I'm just here to say what a good project it is. Thank you very much.
I think she's coming up.
Hannah is coming. And I hear there's a design open mic tomorrow. And I know that not everybody saw the presentation. There was about 15, 20 people at that point. It was presentation number 37, so understandably people were tired. So I might do it again tomorrow at HQ, if that's allowed. Yeah. Right.
I should just quickly mention. So before I hand to you, we do our Wednesday open mics, and we will show this tomorrow in our office. But please don't all of you come, because our office is really tiny and we can't hold 300 people. But I'm going to hand it over to you and just to talk about Remakery.
Okay. Thank you. I missed the announcement there because I was over there talking to somebody else about the project. It's really nice to be up here. A bit of a surprise. Sorry, can you just give me the background? Have we? Did we?
This is a very British thing, by the way. What I learned in moving to America. It's like the humble. What's going on? But just talk about the project.
Yeah, the project. So the Remakery is a community project that has started in South London in a community called Brixton, which is, for anyone that hasn't visited, it's a very diverse and interesting place with a lot of energy and a lot of vibrancy to it. So come and visit. And yeah, so we have a group there called Transition Town Brixton, which is focused on local grassroots responses to climate change and energy issues. And the Remakery got started as part of that. It's one of several transition initiatives, which include the Brixton Pound, local currency, and a project called Brixton Energy, which is putting solar panels on roofs and getting the community to invest in renewable energy. And Remade in Brixton was the group that started the Remakery. So that was a group set up to promote the idea that waste could be a resource, and that includes materials that are going to waste, skills and people's energy that's going to waste, and also buildings and spaces that are going to waste. So we are based in a site which is an old garage block. It's about 40 garages, 1,000 square meters, and it had been disused and pretty much derelict for about 7 years. And it's in the middle of a residential neighbourhood, which is quite lacking in community facilities. And we were lucky in a sense that we came along with this proposal for a reuse centre, a shared space for reuse projects, at a time when that space was actually due to be bricked up, because it had been attracting gang activity and drug taking and dumping, and it was basically a magnet for trouble. So the landlords, the housing management were planning to brick it up, and we kind of came along with this 2-page proposal for a shared community space for reuse and repair and recycling. And they supported the project, and they spent the money that they were planning to spend on bricks on putting in shutters instead, so the space remained accessible and usable. And we started to make use of it as best we could. At that stage, we had a sort of collective of small reuse projects. So we had a bike repair project, a computer recycling project, a wood recycling project, a furniture reuse and upcycling project, and a number of artists and designers working with reused materials. And we sort of came together around this vision of creating a shared collaborative space. And we sort of formed a steering group, started to raise funds, and then made the connection with Architecture for Humanity. And they've been really one of the pivotal forces in the project. They've been very dedicated as a team through 18 months of working with us, consulting with all of the different user groups and future members of the space and the local community, and helping us to kind of tick all the boxes and jump through all the hoops in terms of getting planning permission and going through building control and all of that. And we got onto site a couple of months ago and began to get construction underway. At the moment, we've got as far as the demolition phase, so we've knocked down a lot of walls and created bigger spaces inside the garages, and we've still got a long way to go, and we're doing it in quite an unorthodox way because we have a fairly small budget and we have an ethos of do it yourself and remaking. So we're involving the community of users and members of the space in designing and building it. We have a lot of volunteers involved, and we also we are working with subcontractors to do various elements of the work, and AFH have been really instrumental in getting the sort of connecting us with the experienced construction management people that have helped us get that work underway. So thank you very much, Alistair and team, and thanks everybody for awarding us this prize.
Autodesk is going to give the...
Cool. So who from Autodesk is speaking? Okay, we're going to have Autodesk going to come up and say a few words. First of all, I've just got to do a raffle. So we did this raffle, and this was a really smart thing, and I think anyone who owns a winery should do this, because this was done by Parducci, and it's a 2-night stay at their guest house, which includes drinking their wine. And the 2-night stay is vitally important because you might need it. And it accommodates up to 4 people, so you can invite your good friends, or maybe like somebody that you're trying to date. And the winner is Artie Luna. Sweet. Artie's very happy. I have your phone number. I can phone you. Yeah, you can just, if you keep walking up to Mendocino County, there's a guest house for you. Finally, I'm just going to pass over to Autodesk. Autodesk and Architecture for Humanity has had a long relationship. Every natural disaster we've worked in, the company has donated their software. They've helped us on competitions and so forth. And they've been a really great sponsor of ours for many, many years. So I'm going to pass over to Dawn, and you can come say some things.
Thanks, Cameron. We have 2 more awards to give out tonight for sustainable design. So I'm Dawn. This is Adam. We work on the Autodesk sustainability team, and we work really with a big focus on sustainability and education. So there's nothing cooler for us than seeing this many people focused on all the different aspects of sustainability, humanitarian design, it's really actually very challenging for us to pick a couple of projects that focus just on sustainability, since so many of the projects that were talked about just here, but all through the day, really addressed all kinds of really relevant and important topics, right? So the ones that won the award, there were a couple of real standouts looking at how to look at resource use. We love the Sprout Design project in terms of what they did for really engaging the user behavior of students in schools, in primary schools, to really operate a green building in a really different way. So all of those things are really wonderful. But Autodesk Educations, for those of you who are students or educators, we give free software away to any of you for three-year licenses, so that's all available. And Adam and I actually run an initiative called the Autodesk Sustainability Workshop. So for those of you who are interested in learning how to do green building, not just the concepts, but also how to use our tools to do that, so the principles and practice of sustainable design, we have a whole set of online tools on the workshop that teach you that. Adam's going to say a couple of words about a new initiative that we're running, and then we're going to give out the 2 awards for the best sustainable design projects we saw.
Okay, great. Thanks, Don. So the program I'm going to tell you just a little bit about is called the Autodesk Building Performance Analysis Certificate Program, and it's meant to sort of address a gap in current education where oftentimes architects aren't really taught sort of rigorous analysis that goes along with building science, and engineers, mechanical engineers, for example, aren't taught about building design at all. So this program is a self-paced online course that teaches you both the concepts of sustainable design as well as how to use some of Autodesk's analysis tools to actually run analysis on things like energy use and daylighting. And it's a free online course. We're piloting it currently. If you're interested in that, come and talk to me after this. It's free, and I'll tell you how to sign up for it. You can go to sustainabilityworkshop.autodesk.com/BPAC, BPAC, and that'll get you more information. You can sign up there. Don, did you want to say a few words about the sort of the criteria?
Yeah, just a few things about what we were looking for with the Sustainable Design Award. So in addition to all of the other, there's lots of different criteria that are really relevant to us, looking at community engagement and that kind of thing. What we were really focused on today was things like resource use and effectiveness, use of energy, water, materials, how that fit into to buildings or products. And so we saw a lot of examples of daylighting in buildings and composting toilets and things like that. Reuse of materials, looking at product lifetime, as well as things like educating user behavior. And we were also really interested in seeing the actual application of a lot of these ideas in built projects. So there's a bit of a bias towards that, although that wasn't necessarily our criteria. So with that, our first finalist, or our first award.
Yeah, in no particular order. So the 2 folks that win the award, the first one is, it's I think at heart of an education project, which is very close to sort of Don's and my heart. It's the focus of this was to get students' hands dirty, get them connected to the community, get them connected to real-world projects, thinking about things like budget. An important part of this project was the fact that analysis informed the design. So they actually ran the numbers. They were engaging with things like passive house standards and LEED standards. They were focused on process, but also things like materials and getting to a meaningful scale with some of the outcomes. And so this first prize goes to John Quayle from UVA on his prefab or rehab program. It's like John may have stepped out, but the second prize here, again in no particular order, is we oftentimes hear we can't design sustainably because it costs a lot more. And I think that this project was a good example of sustainable design can be simple and common sense. As simple as thinking about things like we need to orient the building properly, provide enough shade, think about ventilation. And the result of that is the outcome, this particular building looks very appropriate to the place. It's affordable. And furthermore, it's done in a way with economic and community development at the heart of the project. And it's done in a very culturally sensitive way. So I also want to recognize Elisa Engel and the Southeast Football for Hope project. So we'll. Okay.
Okay. So, you know those conferences that won't end until people keep saying, thank you? We're at that last moment, that very last moment, where I get to thank the sponsors one last time, and then you guys get to drink the rest of the alcohol that's here. And you're not allowed to leave until we've finished off all of... Are you sure? Okay. First off, Autodesk, of course, thank you so much. The Serdna Foundation, a raise of hands of any of the Serdna fellows that came over. We had ones come from all over the world, London and Northern Cheyenne, and, really awesome to have them. Arup, Delta Faucets, Tri-Commercial, Bar Architects, Left Foundation, Students Rebuild, the AIA and the USGBC, Northern California. Have to thank the USGBC for organizing their conference around ours. Would like to thank Dwell, the AIA and Dining by Design, and then in-kind sponsors. I'm a big fan of in-kind sponsors. If you can tell, my name is Cameron Sinclair. I'm Scottish. If we can get something at low cost, no cost, it makes me very happy. I have to thank Absolute. We're in the process of, we may be coming into a partnership with Absolute, so stay tuned next year. There's some really awesome arts in public space work that might be done. Trefellin Family Vineyards, and Haley, say hi. Haley's here too to make sure you guys don't drink all of the other guys' wine. Kashi, Lagunas, Speakeasy, Byrite. We have a goat dairy. What other conference has a goat dairy as a sponsor? That's what I want to know. So Harley Farms, Alta Eco. This will be our 4th year running. We've had a chocolate sponsor. That's pretty awesome. Staples, Witchcraft, and of course we are the only design nonprofit conference in the world with a sake sponsor, which is Dasai Sake. Thank you so much for coming. Well, we will be back next year, and two little leaks. So no one's allowed to tweet this or mention this until midnight tonight, but Architecture for Humanity has been named as one of the top 25 charities in the country, and we'll be up. Here's the thing, you can't just clap, you have to vote for us, because we'll be up for a $2 million prize, and there'll be a 2-hour NBC special on December 8th, and we're going to be up with some really good friends. I can't mention them either, because... and then the other thing is, if you want to have another good laugh, because there's been some good projects with some good laughs, you can join Architecture for Humanity on MTV at 11 o'clock on Thursday. We will be joined by One Direction, Alicia Keys, Taylor Swift, Nicki Minaj, Pharrell, and a whole bunch of other people, Bruno Mars, and the cast of Jersey Shore, to help us raise money for rebuilding the Jersey coast. I have no shame, and I'm willing to show it. There'll also be a T-shirt that was partly designed by Gina over there. Put your hand up, Gina. It's going to be on sale on MTV and in Modell's. She doesn't know this yet. We just got the press release. So, yeah, seriously. So thank you so much for coming to Design Like You Give a Damn Live. Please go and have some drinks.